right, I see a couple other people have joined us here. So I think we're ready to go ahead and get started with our training. So again, thank you everyone for being here. We're excited to share more about Maltiverse with you. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple quick housekeeping items. Please do send your questions using the Q&A feature. You can also use the chat if you'd like, if that's what you prefer. But yeah, send your questions throughout the training. We're going to be answering all of your questions at the end. So we will be addressing those questions at the end of the training. But please do feel free to send those here. So today I'm going to be joined by Ricardo Villadiego, RV, our founder and CEO, as well as Antonio Martin, who is our VP of Threat Intelligence. RV is going to talk to us a little bit about Lumu and Maltiverse, and then Antonio is going to walk us through a deep dive of Maltiverse and kind of show us the product, everything like that. So again, any questions you have along the way, please feel free to send them over. And with that, I'd like to invite RV to join us. Hey, RV, how are you?
Good morning and good afternoon for everyone on Europe. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. All right. So before we dive into Maltiverse, wanted to chat with you a little bit about the acquisition and why Lumu decided to acquire Maltiverse. You could just kind of give us a little context around that.
Sure. Happy to do so. Well, Maltiverse, in this journey of building or pioneering continuous compromise assessment, which is the core technology that we have built, one of the things that we had to get access to is threat intelligence. And we built a partnership with Maltiverse about 3 years ago among another 87 90 threat intel vendors. And we consistently identified that the threat data that Maltiverse provided was consistently good. So that gave us the conviction that owning the asset would be beneficial for our customers. But then as we started to dig in deeper into the capabilities that Maltiverse had built in their threat intelligence platform, our conviction grew in the way that it could help us to be a platform to scale our business in Europe, which is what we're doing, to enhance some of the threat intel capabilities that our NDR product, our flagship product, has. And that was some of the key elements that helped us to build a business case to proceed with the acquisition. Very happy about that. And I think Maltiverse customers and Lumu customers will continue to see that value in the product.
Yeah, and talking about that, what would you say are the biggest values or the benefits that Maltiverse customers are getting now?
Well, I think it goes threefold, right? I think that the first thing the Maltiverse customer will see is now that technology being backed by the vision and the global reach that Lumu has. I think that's the first one. I think that's very important. If I am a user of a technology, I want to see that technology has the level of investment that it should have to continue to be successful in the market. That's the first one. But then if you go into the Lumu customers, I think a deeper integration that Maltiverse has with Lumu will produce a stronger intelligence in the different detections that we have. We started to build those integrations, and I think Antonio is going to talk about that. We're moving very fast after the acquisition to make sure that the two offerings are cohesively articulated in the market, but also in the product. So that stronger intelligence is something that you will always continue to see with the two offerings, regardless that the Maltiverse product will continue to exist as a standalone product. You will continue to see that deeper integration between the two offerings, and then the global expansion. Right, I think we're very happy about the talent that we gained through the acquisition. Antonio, Saul, and the former Maltiverse team. We're very happy about that, and how that talent can help us to scale the business into Europe and the Middle East.
Awesome. All right. And then I think last thing, how do Maltiverse and Lumu work together when it comes to threat data?
I think, acquiring threat intelligence data is relatively easy, right? There is a ton of OSINT data available. You can ingest data. Last time I checked, in Maltiverse, we had about 35 million of 45 million of IOCs. The hard thing to do is to give context to that data, is to curate that data, is to identify what is the data that is most relevant to you to protect your company. And I think Multiverse does a fantastic job at doing so. The other element that is extremely complex when you're seeing this ocean of threat data is to identify how the threat actors are using those IOCs. The Multiverse has the benefit, and Lumu has the benefit that we have observability into the operationalization of those IOCs in over 9,000 customers. So now we can provide actionable feedback to the threat data so that it's clearly identify what adversary is using what IOCs in what specific parts of the world, on what specific vertical those IOCs are being actively orchestrated in the attacks that they're doing. So that combination of threat data and real-time feedback on how the bad guys are operationalizing those IOCs makes the data set that we have now at Multiverse much more compelling than other threat intelligence providers in the space.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that introduction and that overview, RV. At this point, I think we can invite Antonio in.
Hi, everybody. So this is Antonio Gomez. I have a background in cybersecurity, basically working in Blue Team and SOCs as incident responder, threat hunters, and positions like that. And now very happy just to run Multiverse into Lumu. So today we have a webinar just to explain use cases on how Multiverse is able to help companies to adopt threat intelligence life cycle in an easy manner, and also how the technology can help the security analyst desk to be faster and stronger doing their job. So let me share my screen. Okay, let's start with a quick introduction on what is Multiverse. Multiverse is a threat intelligence as a service solution. It's a threat intelligence platform in the cloud that we can summarize in three very clear steps. Step number one is collect more than 100 different intelligence sources. We have a dedicated team just to take all this intelligence and prepare it. And step number two is real-time classification. This intelligence is unuseful if you don't have the proper classification, as Ricardo said. So this real-time classification scoring algorithm is ensuring that the data that we can use in the devices is reliable, and is helpful. Okay. So finally, we also provide the channels to deliver this intelligence to different devices in the security stack, like could be the CM, the SOAR, or firewalls. Okay, let's take a quick look on what is the intelligence that we are collecting for our customers. Two big families. First one, public intelligence. This intelligence is very valuable. But it has a problem. The problem that it has is that there are many false positives and non-reliable piece of intelligence inside there. So it requires a treatment before you can use it safely. And we are in charge on doing that as a service. And secondly, very relevant also, private intelligence that we are adding to the baseline in different manners. We are constantly changing and improving that. First of all, we are part of the Cyber Threat Alliance, which is an alliance of cybersecurity vendors, mostly from the United States, where you can see big names in the industry here. We are in an exchange program with them. So we are sharing our own threat intelligence with them, but also we have the right just to commercially use their intelligence into our feeds and our technology. So when you use Multiverse, you are using intelligence coming from Cisco, Juniper, Rapid7, McAfee, Palo Alto, Symantec, so on and so forth. And finally, we are also part of the CISA AIS program from the Department of Homeland Security on the government of the United States that are providing us with intelligence that we are also allowed to use. And on top of that, we are generating our own threat intelligence from the threat observatory inside Lumu. Okay, so now we are going through several use cases that a security analyst can find during their duty. Okay, so let me first of all enumerate them and explain quickly, and then we are going for a practical show, a demo, just to inspect them. So threat analysis is basically a use case where you have a big amount of data and that you need to find this needle, this piece of indicator of compromise amongst a lot of IPs, amongst a lot of data. Okay. Second one is when you just identify this indicator of compromise, you need to evaluate how bad it is. Triaging probably looks familiar to you regarding when you come to an hospital and somebody, so a doctor is checking you out and saying, okay, this is very hard. You go to surgery, or you can wait because it's not that bad. Okay, so triaging is about this. It's about knowing exactly how bad is the threat, and for that it's very important just to have the context. Next use case is threat intelligence feeds. Basically, we have big amount of data, but we have packages of this data on thematics. So depending on what you want to do or what you want to protect from, you gotta pick the right feeds in the right devices and the right pointers in the network. Okay. Next use case is threat hunting. Threat hunting is there are many angles that you can talk about threat hunting. Basically, you can run threat hunting operations just to ensure that you don't have more exposure when you have an incident, but then you can also have proactive operations just to identify if a potential threat for you is inside your network already without having any type of let's say signal yet, but just making this presupposition and looking for that. Next use case is IOC dissemination. It's very important. If you don't disseminate and put the right data in the right devices, you are not going to see anything. So it's very kind just to have the data in a report, in a PDF, but this is not enough. You gotta put them in the firewall, you can put it in the SIEM or the SOAR. Okay, and finally, private IOCs. There are some times that we are handling our own intelligence because some colleague is sharing with us, or the government of our country is sharing some private report. Okay, you can put this data also into the stack and deliver it the same way we do with the regular intelligence in Maltiverse. Okay, so let's go for the practical thing. Let's talk about an incident. We have. Let's suppose I'm in the security team of a company, and now I have a call or an email from an employee that says to me that figured out later that he clicked on a phishing, and he opened a file that is nothing but something very rare. So we suspect that there is a problem. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start the incident response plan, and I'm going to start collecting a lot of evidences and explore what's going on here. And we can do many things, but one of the things that we can do is just to ask for the proxy logs to see the browsing history for this computer of the user that has been targeted by the phishing. Okay, so here you can see we have a log from the proxy, but as you can see, there are plenty of URLs that have been contacted, and we need to look for the right one, the one that is malicious. So we can just go to Maltiverse, and in Maltiverse.com we have a tool named Threat Analyzer, which has an input where you can paste anything. You can paste text, in this case, this log, and immediately the tool is going to parse all the indicators of compromise. And now we have the option just to analyze them all in a row. So you can figure out the amount of time that you are saving with that in a moment that you need to be very, very fast. Okay, click. And we have here a report, a quick report on what's going on with these indicators of compromise that we just pasted in here. So some of them are false positives, are not meaningful for the investigation. The user has been browsing x.com, which is whitelisted, social network, okay. But if we go here, we see a lot of URLs, and one of them is classified as malicious, okay? And the blacklist is APTZ36. Here in the report, we also can have some extra information, but in this case, what we have is a very, very clear one that we can open, okay? So this was the case, the use case number one, threat analysis, and now we are into the second use case. Now we have a contact with this malicious URL, and the idea here is that Maltiverse is providing you all the context that you need to identify just to score the threat and the incident by severity. And in this particular case, we have here a section named current activity of this URL with very, very relevant information. First of all, we identify that Maltiverse is telling us that this URL has been targeting few regions, specifically Brazil and Colombia. So that means that we have seen this URL targeting those countries, okay? This is information exclusive from Maltiverse and from Lumu. And then we also have 3 different targeted sectors that have been attacked by this URL, government and public sector, healthcare and pharmaceutical, and also manufacturing. On top of that, here we also have a very important label named, the label is about Mitre framework, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, that is basically doing an attribution of this indicator of compromise. And it's saying that this indicator of compromise has been used by APTZ36 or G0099, which is the code on Mitre. So let's explore on that. So basically here in Mitre, we have like a dossier on this group, which is a South American espionage group that has been targeting the Colombian government and also other corporations in South America, like financial sector, petroleum industry, and professional manufacturing. Here you can find the techniques used by the team. And this information, what it's telling us is that this is not a regular incident. This is a very hard incident because this group is a high skill one. So when you have some of those things in your network, you gotta understand that this can destroy your organization in a matter of hours. Okay, so need to be very, very quick. So let's go. Now, what can we do? We can go to the threat intelligence feeds. And here we have a menu of all the packages of intelligence that Maltiverse has, let's say, classified by thematic. And here you can find a lot of information, different information, depending on the usage that you want to do. In example, here we have the command and control feed. A command and control is just a server that is under the control of the bad guys and is waiting just for a connection from the infected machine in the organization. So it's very important just to notice all the outbound connections to this type of servers. This is critical. And there are plenty of feeds like this one, malware distribution, where you have endpoints on the internet that are showing up malware packages that can be downloaded in second stages of the attack. So it's also important, and it's a great opportunity just to identify the underlying incident. Tor nodes, malicious IPs, phishing, there are plenty of them, cybercrime. By this case, we have a specific feed for this group, APTZ36, okay? So this feed, in this case, when we have an incident and we know these guys are inside of our network, it's mandatory just to plug in to all the devices that we could have, just to check out if there is some expansion of the incident, if the guys have been doing some lateral movement and are in another in other computers in the network. Okay, so the next thing that we are about to do is we are going to integrate this feed into Microsoft Sentinel. So here we have a Microsoft Sentinel instance, and here what we can do is we can click on the integrate the feed. So Maltiverse is about to show us all the devices supported just for the integration. And here you can see firewalls like Checkpoint, Fortinet, or Palo Alto, EDRs like CrowdStrike, CM Technologies, and specifically here we have Microsoft Sentinel. Okay, so here you have all the instructions. It's a very simple integration. It can take for you minutes, and here basically you have all instructions step by step to configure. So let's do it. We go to data connectors. In data connectors, we are looking for taxi. Taxi is a protocol for sharing threat intelligence. It's a standard de facto in the industry. Maltiverse has a taxi server, so we can connect with Maltiverse, with Microsoft Sentinel via this protocol. And there are many other technologies that are also supporting this. So here, Microsoft Sentinel is asking us for the information regarding the server, the Maltiverse server. So we can go here and just copy and paste everything. The AP root URL, the collection ID or feed ID. And then here is just a matter placing the username and the password for Maltiverse. Okay, so here we have some other options like import indicators, all available for sure, and polling frequency. This is something that you can choose. You can put once a minute, once an hour, once a day. Once an hour is enough, and just add to it. So now it's connecting and downloading all the intelligence of this feed into Microsoft Sentinel, and voila, there it is. Now we can go to Microsoft Sentinel again, and let's go to the menu Threat Intelligence. Okay, this has changed. Now they are migrating, Microsoft, they are migrating to the Defender portal. So we have here a link to Microsoft Defender. That is okay. So just here we have, this is the menu where we can see all the loaded intelligence regarding regarding the feeds that we have just connected. Okay, so here we have an old feed that we have integrated, the phishing feed, but for sure the intelligence related to this APT is now inside Microsoft Sentinel. Here you can see that it is. Yeah. Okay, good. So regarding threat hunting, now we've been connected this APT feed. Maybe we can consider just to investigate if this group has other tools that can use for their purposes, okay? And if we want, we can, and it's very, very desirable, we can take these tools, look for them into Maltiverse, and also put these IOCs to work for us, okay? So in this case, in example, we have that this specific group is using a remote access tool named async rat. I think this is this is the way to write it. So in this case, you have a lot of more indicators of compromise that could be related to this thread, okay? So it's as simple as just creating our own query with the Maltiverse query language, which is very powerful way just to select the intelligence that you need in the moment, okay? And here we can build a query with a bit more of refinement. So here, in example, we can specify classification equals malicious, okay? And here you have all the indicators of compromise related to this specific thread that you can also save as a threat intelligence feed, okay? And here you can put a scene rat and save it. So now we have a new feed, and this feed can also be integrated the same way into Microsoft Sentinel. So you can understand that this is very powerful as you need to move very fast, and if you identify some other hypothesis on what's going on, you can just target this type of intelligence and put it to work. Okay, and let's go for the next one. Okay, so the last of the use cases. We have used the intelligence brought by Maltiverse, but now could be, and this is very frequent, that we also have more information from other sources. And an example here, we have a specific report from the government of Ecuador regarding this specific APT. You can see it's a PDF. And in this PDF, you can find specific indicators of compromise related to this threat, okay? Like these IPs. So we want these IPs also to be delivered. What we can do is just copy them, go to Maltiverse, and then in the platform, what we have is a dedicated database where we can store our own intelligence. So here, there is a menu named Upload IOCs, where we can paste, and in the same way, we have all the IPs pasted. Then we can go next and put a blacklist description for these indicators of compromise. Let's put APT-Z36. We say this is malicious, and the threat actor, this is not mandatory, but you can just label that with the Mitre framework. So here in example, looking for APT-Z36, we have here this code G0099. Go next and publish indicators. So now we are uploading the indicators to the database, and this intelligence is now onboarded, and now we can create a threat intelligence feed with our own data that can also be ingested to Microsoft Sentinel again, okay? So in this case, we can just click in that, okay? This is taking a little bit because the ingestion is getting processed. It's almost real time, but it's taking a little bit. But basically what we can do here is just go to the platform search, and in this search engine, what we are getting is only access to the data that we have uploaded, okay, isolated. So here we can just create the same query. We can create the query as APTZ36. Okay, and now we can say blacklist description keyword equals that, just to refine it. And here we are about to find, on top of the intelligence, there is the IPs that have been uploaded, gotta be here somewhere. Okay, so you get the idea. It's basically now you can create a new threat intelligence feed, the private one, with your own data, and this feed just can be delivered to the Microsoft Sentinel. And with that, you can use also a MISP technology that you can sync with the Maltiverse platform and then deliver all the intelligence, or have your team uploading constantly new indicators that they want, and they don't have to go through this painful process of change management and opening requests in the firewall and so on. Okay, being said that, this is the way that Multiverse can help an organization just to automate all the threat intelligence lifecycle. And now what we want to do is to show how the companies that are running security operations with Lumu can benefit from all this context from Multiverse. So let's go to portal lumu.io. And in here, we can go to incidents. And just in these open incidents we have here, we can select one of those. This in example. And here there are the news. There is a tab named Threat Intel, which is more enriched now with intelligence from Multiverse. Here you can see a blacklist timeline, which is very helpful. Is just a timeline where we can see all the attributions on this IP address and all the sources that are linked to this attribution. So this is interesting because the more sources we have, the more let's say that the most sure we are that the indicator is a real threat. On top of that, just for the triage, we also have information regarding the who is of the IP, the location, and also URLs related to this specific IP. Okay, just for you to know that also there are links just to go to Multiverse and see information here. In this case, in this specific case, look at that. We see that this IP is targeting several countries in Latin America and North America, and also a lot of industries. Basically, this is happening because many of the threats are just hitting everybody. They are trying to hit everybody, and once they have their goal, they can sell this access just to more specific teams. And that is all. That's all for the presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Antonio, for that overview. We'll move into the Q&A session now. I see we have a couple questions. If anyone else has questions, again, please feel free to use the Q&A feature or send them in the chat. The first question here is, why should an organization use both Lumu and Multiverse?
Cool. I think I can take that, Nikki. When you're doing security operations, there's some questions that you want, or some use cases that you want to protect, right? The first one is, I want to make sure that I'm not compromised actively, right? I want to make sure that if a threat actor is attempting to bypass my defenses or evade my defenses, or has already evaded my defenses, I can identify that behavior and take out the threat actor from my network. And that's what Lumu excels, right? Lumu helps to continuously assess the state of compromise of an organization. But at the same time, as Antonio was presenting, I want to understand what's the global threat landscape. And I want to see if there is an attack, if I am an organization based in Madrid or in Dubai, and there are attacks affecting Brazil, I don't know when those attacks are going to come my way. I want to proactively be ready when those threat actors decide to cross the ocean and start attacking my company that is in a different place. That's where Multiverse excels, right? Multiverse has an eye into what are the global what's the global threat landscape, where you can, if I'm a manufacturing company, identify what are the threats affecting manufacturing and plug that into my into the threat intel, or power up the cybersecurity stack with that threat intel. Those are the two main use cases. Maltiverse helps you to anticipate attacks. Lumu helps you to continuously identify your state of compromise and respond actively to eliminate that threat in your network.
Great. Perfect. Okay, next question here. Does Lumu provide any automation for blocking threats, or is it just enrichment?
I think that's one for Antonio, I guess.
Maltiverse is a threat intelligence platform, a database, and this intelligence is a source of information. You can deliver that to any device present in the connectors, or use Lumu for security operations, which has built-in intelligence from Maltiverse.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, another question here. How do the private IOCs work? Why would an organization keep them private?
Well, private intelligence is the intelligence that you want to handle for yourself. Is probably coming from a circle of trust that is not allowing you just to share that into public. And this is something very common in threat intelligence. Because if there is a bad actor inside my organization and I'm showing up this indicator of compromise to the world and I upload it to VirusTotal, in example, then everybody's going to, the bad actors are going to know that we found them inside. So many times you gotta be very, get it to private and until this can be shown. So for this reason, let's say that Maltiverse platform is a tool just to privately handle the internal information that a company can need.
All right, perfect. Another question here in the Q&A. Will Maltiverse be part of the Lumu platform, or will it remain on a separate platform?
I think I can take that one. So Lumu is transforming the way companies operate cybersecurity today, right? Lumu has become the center for cybersecurity operation for thousands of companies that have decided to adopt a different approach to security operations. And for those customers, what you can see and expect from the integration Lumu and Maltiverse is that more and more information is going to come into the Lumu portal, as Antonio just showed a few minutes ago. But there are another set of customers that have been building their security operation from many, many years ago, and they continue to operate with a center on the SIEM, anchor on a SIEM technology. For those companies, the only way that they can continue to extract value to a SIEM is if they have the best threat intel that they can have. And for those customers, their offering would be a Maltiverse as a standalone platform, so that they can enrich the detection and disseminate the IOCs, threat hunt on those environments, and handle all the different use cases that Antonio just presented.
All right. One more question here. How does Maltiverse determine the confidence level when scoring IOCs?
Okay, this is for me. Well, we have a rule-based scoring algorithm, and that means that we can program conditions and actions. So, in example, there are plenty of rules that we are constantly evolving, and one of them can be if an IP is belonging to a register named Cloudflare, now we know this is not malicious. So it's a CDN. We cannot tag this as malicious. So there is a specific rule that makes impossible for the Cloudflare IPs to be malicious. This is a very simple example. There are plenty of rules, and this approach to this problem is very convenient, because once you have one false positive, what you are doing with a new rule just to mitigate it is that in the future is not going to repeat. So the more rules we have, the more clean the data set is here. And at this point in time, is very reliable to the point that there are plenty of customers that are putting this intelligence into block mode in a firewall.
All right. Excellent. One more question here. I think this is the last one. How is Multiverse evolving to keep up with AI generated attacks?
Well, I don't know if we can talk about that, but basically we have an idea on use AI also to collect intelligence, because the speed is key. So if attackers are using AI, we need to use AI also. It's the only way just to keep up.
If I may, complement on that, I think one of the challenges that exists in the threat intel world is that to get to know the IOCs, you had to know the attack, right? That's the way it works. You know the attack, and from that attack, you extract the IOCs, and then you disseminate those IOCs to prevent the work. But with AI, what we see is that there are a ton of new attacks that are unknown. And the only way to identify those attacks is when you are actively monitoring the networks of the company. The combination Lumu and Multiverse help us to be proactive at that. When Lumu is continuously monitoring the networks of thousands of customers around the world, we can identify behavior that is unknown. And that behavior now becomes threat intel data that we can use to protect preventively thousands of customers too. That's kind of the combination and the power that we have when you combine Lumu and Multiverse. There's a saying in the market that the sum is greater than its parts, and it's a perfect example in this Lumu and Multiverse integration. The outcome, the value that the two solutions provide, it is bigger than each one by itself.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you very much, RV, Antonio, for your time today, and all of the participants for your engagement and your questions. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.